So this is our Superkick mid-year review with Mangoes. We're looking at all the teams in the competition and we're trying to determine whether they've had a pass or fail record due to their win-loss ratio, who their best players have been, and their also their best pick that they've had, like value for money pick. So we'll start off with the Funky Balls, and so far probably their best pick has been Tracy. They've also had a number of different players stand up during the so far during the season. Uh, Specifically Jesse Hogan and Jack Darling of late. But just a little bit of struggle early doors. Sorry, late with two losses to the Mangoes and the Goldfest. This kind of puts a little bit of a dampener on what would be an A plus record. So I'm giving them an A. The Quiche, and the Quiche has their best player, value for money player, has been Darcy. They've been very good so far this year. The top of the ladder, looking pretty. 7 wins. That's pretty good effort. Percentage wise, they've got the best percentage in the comp. They've got the highest 4 along with Funky, so they're well inside the premiership window. They should win it from here, to be honest. But anything can happen. Seem to be able to find players. So Blake Haydwick is probably their most valuable player of recent note, kicking 5 goals a couple of times. So, and that's got them over the line in danger games. So for the Quiche, I give them an A to A plus. Moving on to Don is Good. Don is Good so far this season started off very slowly, 4 losses in a row, but it's found their mojo. Got 6 wins on the trot, which is impressive. Beating the Mangoes this week with a big score, 20 goals. So they're definitely in the hunt for the premiership. Stringer being their most valuable player. Moving on to the Mangoes. The Mangoes average season, very inconsistent. Probably their best player has been Haywood with his 4 goals twice in the previous weeks. Got them over the line against Funky, but they just lack some depth. Maybe Harms can give them that little bit of boost with the trade in top up this week. They might make finals, they might not. It's debatable at this stage. They're in the hunt, but they're not in the premiership window. Give them a C. Moving on to the Stars. Well, the Stars shot off brightly, but they're fading very quick. Lost 6 in a row. And it looks like they're probably going to struggle without Callum Brown, but he comes back this week. They definitely lack some depth in their team. Callum Brown is definitely their best player, has been their most valuable player, got them a few wins earlier in the season. So hopefully he can return and give them a bit of a boost. At the moment, they're on a C rating for the year. Now on to the Goldfest. The Goldfest have been pretty good. Just there and thereabouts, like always, every year. Their best player, most valuable, like pickup or surprise pickup, is Jed Walter from the Gold Coast. I give them a B. Now, moving on to the Pirates. Pirates, they're just hanging around as well, just like the Mangoes and the Stars, probably making up the numbers in the finals. But Langford is definitely their best player. He's produced the same form that he did the previous season. He's going really well. He's his best player. I give them a C. Now on to Vital. Vital, they just struggled every game pretty much. They've got 4 wins, but they don't look likely of making finals at this stage unless a number of their players can produce outstanding performances. Last week, that definitely did happen with Humphrey coming out and kicking 5 goals and got them the win, much needed. Kept them in just inside the finals hunt, but I think they won't make it. I give them a D. Now we're moving on to the Sheep. The Sheep, their best player, most valuable pick is definitely Jake Waterman. Unbelievable. The Sheep have been inconsistent, just like the Mangoes, but just slightly better in terms of win-loss ratio. So I give them a B. Now the Vengeance here, they've struggled very much so with their form. Don't have much depth. Very reliant on Geelong players. They're struggling to score when Geelong doesn't score. Last week he did okay, but just didn't have enough to beat the Quiche. With only 2 wins this year, being a bit unlucky, but still 2 wins is not enough. I give them an E. Brad Close being his best player. Now it's the Scorpions. The Scorpions, they got a win against the Stars, which bumps their rating up just slightly. With Pickett being their best player, I give him an E for the year. Now moving on to the SMS League, we've got the Asians. The Asians definitely have been the outstanding performer this year, with being top of the table with most wins, 8 in fact. That's very good for them. Always has been their best player, definitely A+. Now the Pokebombs. Pokebombs has been quite good. Just 1 win behind the Asians. Stengel being their best player as well. 7 wins, they're definitely in the A tier. Then we've got White Line Fever, who unfortunately have lost some very close games, but what Superkick is about winning those close games, and it makes all the difference in terms of win-loss ratio and making finals. And White Line Fever were definitely in the A tier 3 or 4 weeks ago, but they dropped down to a B+ now, with Darcy being his best player. Now we go to Free Smoke. Free Smoke, they've been pretty good. Good first season they've had. Jed Walter being their best player, just finding it harder now when the mid-season period, where it can make and break your season. Just needs to find some more depth in terms of getting players topped up. Especially if he gets a few injuries. Jed Walter being his best player and value for money. I give him a B. Now, Rocket Rod, good slow start to the season, just much like Don is good, but it's lifted off now. Brad Close is his best player. 6.5 wins is very good for the first season at this game. I give him an A. Now the Fortress. Fortress been all right. Rioli is their best player, and I give him a B. Now Minted Mink. His most valuable player is Ben Keys, with his multiple goals in a few games. He's just a bit unlucky. He keeps losing by small margins with high scores, so he might need to shore up his defence a bit. I give him an E. Rubber Gloves. Well, they have got Tracy, and Tracy's been a good player for them, but just not quite finding getting enough score on the scoreboard, and just lacking some depth. Maybe needs to do some more top ups. I give them a D. A-Track. Humphreys is their best player at this stage, producing 5 goals last week, but he just doesn't have anything else in the side. So this causes problems whereby he just doesn't quite have enough firepower. And so I give him an E for the season so far. And we'll go with the Walsh Dogs next. The Walsh Dogs, they've been okay. Got a few wins early, but struggled since with injuries. DeGoey is their best player at this stage. I give them a D. And finally, the Wobbly Kickers, probably the worst team in the whole comps. Just hasn't picked well this year. But Harley Reid has been all right. Unfortunately, with 1.5 wins this year, it's just not quite good enough. Needs to find better players. He'll learn. I give them an F. Thanks, guys.